Welcome back to the show, everybody. This is the Shankly Sessions, the Liverpool podcast. We bring you each and every day as part of the upgrade here on YouTube. If you could head over there and smash that subscribe and bell notification button, I'd really, really appreciate it. We're going to be bringing you plenty of content this summer now that the season is at a close. But I thought I'd jump on and do a quick Champions League match reflection, really. We were over in Liverpool at the weekend, and we attended the showing in Aintree. Had a great time. Fans were buzzing, great crowd. As I love going up to Liverpool these weekends, win, lose or draw. We had a great weekend, but the fan base was absolutely buzzing. There was high expectations. I think most of the fan base really felt that, like, there was a real great chance of landing number 7. That how long could this Madrid team hold out in terms of what they had already achieved by knocking out PSG, Chelsea, and Man City, and could they do it again at Liverpool? Our thoughts going in was that we were probably stronger and fitter and faster and better all around the park. Let's get into the game first of all before we release some observations. Let's say this is a match reflection, really, more so than a match reaction, and it's about the Champions League in general and our season, a little bit of our season, because I didn't want to do a match reaction because it was kind of a bit raw. You might have seen I was on Social Sports News, and I think we also featured on BBC World, where we did a couple of interviews up there at Aintree. So I'm sure if any of you thought that, you could see the disappointment in my face, and naturally you'd be disappointed missing out on the Champions League. I have to say it was a terrible 6 days between losing and missing out on the league to Man City by just a point, being 10 and potentially winning the league, and then having to try and lift the boys again to go again and do a Champions League final then again, especially against the team like Madrid, which is unbelievable. They're like a fine wine; they just get better with age, and so difficult to be. But it was a terrible 6 days. But I don't want that to overshadow the journey that brought us on this season. It was an absolutely fabulous. We were 2 matches away from a historic quadruple, and I suppose on reflection, playing 63 games in a season, Mane and Salah racking up over 180,000 air miles, was just a step too far, and that is the reason why no team has ever won this quadruple, because it takes so much. You want to have an unbelievable squad, literally 2 11s nearly. Couldn't have asked for much more from our team, really. They've given us some fabulous moments this season. The clawback of 14-point deficit to bring it back to a point was absolutely outstanding, and to have the mental ability, and this is like coming off the back of key players going off and into the AFCON, and other players stepping up during the January period when live on thought we were just on a will to fall away. Arguably, we played some of the better football in that period, and has after those players who came in and put in the shift when Mane and Salah weren't available. But ultimately, it's a season that kind of ends in, I don't know what you'd call it, a disappointment. I mean, it's a season that promised so much and delivered to an extent in terms of 2 domestic cups. And I suppose if Man City had won the league by 13 points, and I suppose if we had got knocked out, in the quarterfinals or the semi-finals, or if Madrid had went 3-0 up before half-time, on reflection, winning 2 domestic cups, it kind of would have been okay. But in the Champions League final, to play as good as we did, especially in the first 45 minutes where we were very, very dominant, moving the ball around, and they couldn't really live with us in terms of the way we moved it. And to create the chances that we did, and shout out to Thibaut Courtois, who was absolutely unbelievable on the night. Stopped everything, looked very controlled, and it just felt at times, between the stuff that was going on outside the ground with the fans, the delay in the kickoff, the omens kind of weren't great. Except earlier in the day were really good. Story from our trip. We were down on the square in Liverpool City Centre, and we were having a bite of lunch and a few drinks with the lads and stuff like that. And I'm sitting there, and if anyone's familiar with the square, then Liverpool, it's just full of pigeons and seagulls. Like, And I was sitting there having a pint, and the next thing, a seagull shit all over my jeans. No messing me. That's what was with me. And I thought, the almost have to be good if I pour shitting all over me. I had to go in and clean my jeans. Not absolutely destroyed. As big a seagull shit as I've ever experienced. And I said, that has to be a good omen. So only one of the things that I brought the shit on there that you said is a good omen. From now on, it's not. It's for your sake. I don't comment too much on what happened with fans around and stuff like that. Very sorry. Even family members and stuff like that, players, pictures of the club and stuff like that, all being refused, and tear gas and crowding and all that kind of stuff. I wasn't there, so I don't know what happened. I have heard stories, but I'm sure the club and I'm sure UEFA will do an investigation into it. It's not the first time this kind of thing has gone on over there. That happened back in 2016. I think it was Sweden playing Ireland. I think it was. I think it was Sweden versus Ireland, and there was the same kind of trouble went on. Not to this extent. Kind of hearing of, like, people get the gangs and the kids standing there watching it happen. We've seen footage of police officials out there going hard on fans, and again, I can't comment on it because it wasn't there. So we'll see what comes out of the report, and we'll do a little episode on it, and we will reflect on it. Just to reflect back, and then again, first 45 minutes, part of the last few minutes, and the VAR check. Actually, 10 years VAR check for the Benzema goal. I was trying to figure what was wrong with it and what they were looking at, but they took a good look at it. We got the benefit of that. Went in at 0-0. Came out second half. It was like if we had an adrenaline that we it was like we were heavy into the first half, and we pushed and tried, but we had nothing. Just 0-0. And of course, Vinicius Junior crops up at the back post. Ball played across from Valverde. And ball finds us like Vinicius, and he puts the ball in the back of the net. Now 1-0 up. Now, on that goal, and this may not be something that Liverpool fans want to hear, but if you go back and look at that goal, his positioning for that is all wrong. He's all over the place. And realistically, a player of his level should deal with that cross. It should never come across. And yes, we'll make the argument as well that Trent was more central and he had switched off and wasn't picking his player at the back post. But I'm sure he probably felt that with the two central defenders there, that would be dealt with, would never come across there. So there's a number of things. I've seen this season as well. A number of times this has happened. Both sides. We've seen it with the Sun goal at Spurs. When Sun scored, it was the same thing. Ball played across in the bottom. But we need to hammer out those crosses. They shouldn't come across. They can never be in their first place. Just a little thing on that, you know what I mean? I think if you look at some of the performances of the players, second half, then I think once they got that goal, I think it was going to be very, very, very difficult. I think what happened, I think we sort of went into ourselves. I think we lost our game plan. I think we started playing passing that's not familiar with us. There was a lot of tippy kind of passing. It wasn't penetrative and stuff like that and all, where we would open up and stuff like that. I think we were a lot slower in getting the ball back to front. And I think it was like as if we had started feeling sorry for ourselves, that we had tried so hard in the first 15 minutes and found ourselves 1-0 down. And this is no disrespect to Real Madrid. I mean, congratulations to Real Madrid on winning the Champions League. I mean, for them to knock a PSG, Chelsea, Man City, and Liverpool to the Premier League, and PSG, you can't avoid them the 14th trophy, regardless of how many shots we had, regardless of how powerful we were in the first half, and not getting the job done. You can't deny them the 14th trophy, what they achieved this season, albeit a lot of it was last-ditch stuff. But that's the sign of a brilliant team. The sign of a brilliant team. Like, if you think about it, when we went 1-0 down, we 30-odd minutes to get into the game, and we just couldn't find those opportunities. I mean, Salah created one, really. We one or two kind of flashes when the subs came on and stuff like that, but nothing really. And then we started shooting from distance, and you see Keita with that outside of the foot. You don't go outside the foot in those moments. You put your laces through the ball, you know what I mean? Shot there with a couple of cutbacks, but no one really there. Ball didn't fall for us. The salad hands that came off Courtois' top of his arm and stuff like that, unbelievable. And the other one where he broke through and he tried to skip the ball over, but it looked like it was going to go central to the goal as opposed to go in and stuff like that. So yeah, we created some opportunities, but I don't think we ever really had the conviction in us. You know, when we're at it and we're absolutely putting teams to the sword and the speed and I think between the moment, and I'm sure the players were aware of what's going on outside the ground, and this is not to make excuses either, but there's a lot going on out there, and a lot of it involved player members as well, from what the club has spoken about and stuff like that. We've heard of Jason McAtee's family, we've heard of Andy Robinson's family, we've heard of John Matt's sister, all these kind of things. So that must have been playing in their minds. But it was just the omens going up there. And again, I did an interview after the game for Sky Sports. I think I did on Beach World as well. Like we were so devastated. I was devastated for the players. I was devastated for the fans. I was devastated for the fans of Paris who didn't get into the game and paid huge money. I was devastated for the fans in the stadium. I was devastated on so many different levels over this. It's never nice to lose. But what a hell of a journey that they brought us on and stuff like that, you know. And then to see that parade there yesterday, you know, 800,000 people lining the streets of Liverpool, to welcome the team back that we love, to give them the send off into the summer that they deserve. They played every single game available to them, 63 games in one season, unheard of. The mileage they put in, the mental fatigue, you know, trying to work through injuries at times. Van Dijk to come back off that injury, that year-long layoff, and to play at the level that he played at. And just those one or two moments that catches us out that costs us, you know. It's kind of heartbreaking, you know. But I want to get into some of the observations that we need to look at. I mean, there's a lot of observations surrounding this game. You know what I mean? Let's start. There's nowhere else to start really, because this season, 2/3 of the pitch, we've been really, really good, and we can't deny it up front. Although the goals and the assists are very high up in the charts with a number of players look really, really well. There's no doubt in the last couple of months we've been rather blunt up front in terms of goals and stuff like that. Niall coming in January was a breath of fresh air, brought absolute energy, and has had a really good first 6 months. Albeit he got the other night in the Champions League final, but he was trying, and he was doing his best and what he could. And maybe the stage for him at this stage as a young kid and stuff like that, maybe it was just a bit too much for him. But then you look at you know, Sadio Mane and the stories coming out and stuff like that, the Bayern Munich and stuff, which it looks like that's the case and that's what's going to happen. So I don't really know. You know, well, he's one guy I wouldn't really want to lose. I think Sadio Mane is an absolutely fabulous player, and I think the fact that we're losing him, or that he wants to change the scene, I think in some respects he probably feels a little bit disrespected by the club. I think over the last year we've had plenty of time to talk him about his contract, and we put on the back burner. And we focused on Mo Salah, and everything has been about Mo Salah and Mo Salah's contract. That's been the narrative for months and months and months. And it's like Sadio Mane had to take a back seat to that, and albeit he was the informed guy. As soon as Diaz came in and we switched him into the middle of the striking partnership, he was absolutely brilliant at times. Some of the stuff he did was unbelievable. And I think there has been a little bit of disrespect there. And I think it'll come out in time. We'll find out like how he really felt and stuff like that. You know? But it's just sickening. It's sick. You know, that 6 days like that, missing out on the league, missing out on the Champions League, the end of an era for our front three. You know, you're most saying he'll be here next season. So what does that actually mean? If you're going to be here next season, what does it mean? Are you going to re-sign? If you're not going to re-sign, how do you expect to be here next season? It just doesn't make any sense, because I don't think we can afford to let Mo Salah wind down his contract. Nor do I think we can afford to lose Mane and Salah all at once, and how we would replace them. But that's the conundrum that Liverpool now face, and Jurgen Klopp face as well. Julian Ward, obviously, Michael Edwards is moving on. So like that. And thank Michael Edwards for working against me. Absolutely outstanding there. And obviously Junior want to continue that. But what's the reality for Liverpool? The reality for Liverpool is this contract situation with Mo Salah has dragged on and on and on and on, and it doesn't look like it's going to get signed. And it would look really, really bad on Liverpool Football Club for Mo Salah to leave next season on free. And I think at this stage, unless he's going to come out and say he signed the contract or something like that, I think we have no choice but to sell him in the summer. I think he has to go. I think we have to get the money in. Between himself and Mane, they've been two great servants of the club. But we have to get the money in off both of them. We have to reinvest that. And we have to bring in quality players. And it can't be like, a project you point the situation. I know Carvalho is coming in and stuff like that. And he's a fabulous player in the championship and stuff like that. But we need to really bring in a top, at least one top quality player to blend in with what we have there from at the moment. We've been in the course with Harry Kane, we've been linked with Darwin Núñez. I mean, Liverpool gets linked with everything. That's just the nature of the leagues when you're successful and you're figuring out all these fronts and stuff like that. But we need to, this is a watershed moment for the club now. We've had 5 or 6 fabulous years with these guys up front. And there's no doubt in Mo Salah's case, it's a difficult situation because prior to Christmas, he was the absolute best player on the planet. There's no doubt about it. And we've seen the kind of season that Karim Benzema has had. But the drop off from Mo Salah since Christmas, since the AFCON, since he went away to the AFCON and has come back, he's been a totally different player. He hasn't hit his stride. He looks like he's absolutely banjaxed. Fatigue, I'd say, has set in both physically and mentally. His drop off in terms of goals and everything else has been colossal. And I just think at this age, I think it's time to make this decision there. I mean, obviously his situation isn't strengthened as it was. Obviously got beaten in the AFCON, played the number of matches over there, 120 minutes, then got knocked out of the World Cup qualifiers, all but a man over my shoulder there. And who had a brilliant time. And it's easy to say that he went in and he won the games and won the AFCON. He kicked on for him, had a really good second half of the season. He was struggling in the first half of the season. And Mo Salah was like a reversal of fortune with both of them, what I mean? And then going back to the Champions League final, going into that, obviously, Mo Salah does a narrative about revenge and stuff like that. But bar those 1 or 2 chances, Mo Salah had a shocking Champions League final. A shocking Champions League final for a guy who had a point to prove, for a guy who missed out in 2018 because of that wrong tackle on the collarbone and all that kind of stuff, and was absolutely devastated. He just didn't do it. He simply just didn't do it. And that's the reality of the situation, I'd like to talk probably quickly about our set pieces and our corners and stuff like that. I have that amount of opportunities, free kicks and set pieces and corners into the box and stuff like that. And to keep on continually hitting the front man or overshooting stuff. I thought Trent on the night at times, he put in great energy and stuff like that. And Robbo. But I think ultimately that final ball or that killer ball that you need just wasn't there. Just didn't link up, just couldn't pass the first man. I couldn't find a man in the box. And the other guy in the box was a monster like Van Dijk. And the practice in this kind of stuff all week long, you should be finding those guys at least once or twice in those moments in there and stuff like that. We should have it down. I've said before, with the size of the defenders going in there, there was going mad Van Dijk and come on. We should be getting a bigger return in terms of free kicks into the box and in terms of crosses into the box. And all. It just didn't happen on the night. It was just off, Quick shout out, as I did already, to Coach Hall. I just thought he was absolutely unbelievable. On another night, we could have been 3-1 up. But he was just amazing, just looking at that boy. He saved everything. He came off his shoulder, came off his arm, pushed around the corner, one off the post. He was just unbelievable on the pitch, and it was going to take something really special. It was going to have to be a clinical finish. And we talk about all the shots and the stats showed and stuff like that, but in reality, what we have, we really made 3 chances of real potential goals, and maybe 4. A lot of the shots when he cut in into the box, shots are just straight on. He can deal with them all day. But the shots that we had outside the box and distance were sent within the outside or whatever it was. Talk about the subs that came on. Diaz obviously expended an awful lot of energy. He was hurrying and chasing and pushing and all. But I think the subs that came on, like if you're bringing on Keita and you're bringing on Jota and you're bringing on Bobby, who hasn't had much game time recently, he was out with that foot injury and stuff like that. It felt like a drop down in a level. And obviously, I know we have to go for it and stuff like that, but that, I don't know, it just never felt like that was going to have the impact that it did. I know Jota came on at times, he did a few little bits and stuff like that, but in reality, it just never felt like it was going to happen. It never felt like we were spraying guys on the bench. That was when I mean, the interesting thing I suppose about it is Origi, who was injured and played this last game, and he's off facing managers. If we had had him coming on, we could have had that moment because we know that he this man defenses and stuff like that, caused a bit of havoc and stuff like that. And he has had moments. And could we have potentially had one more Divock Origi moment on like four? He was injured with a thigh injury or hamstring or something. So that was a little bit sad. I want to talk about two boys who played on the night who I thought were absolutely exceptional. Konate, who I thought had an absolutely fabulous game. He was absolutely brilliant. His covering for Trent, his dealing with Vinicius Jr. was absolutely brilliant. Take the ball out from the back, put passes into midfield, the control of the ball, Van Dijk and stuff like that. He's an absolutely immense signing and an immense defender, and he will have his day in the sun. There's no doubt about it. He's absolutely brilliant. I thought I'd put that out there. I want to talk about our captain, Jordan Henderson, who we thought on the night. I thought he was fantastic. I mean, for him to be breaking the lines and running forward, creating the press that our front guys are supposed to do, and to see the energy that he brought and how much he wanted it, I thought it was brilliant on the night to see. I thought the shift that he put in, I think nearly every time one of their back players was pressing the ball, it was Jordan Henderson. You could see the captain's armband on him there, and he was just pressing the ball. So the energy that he brought him, I mean, ultimately he ran out of energy. He put in a serious shift. So hats off to the captain. At times I've been critical of him this season, and rightly so. I'm totally critical of our players, like Mo Salah and stuff like that. But he's been absolutely brilliant, and he was fantastic in the Champions League final. I just thought the energy that he brought, the drive that he brought, he was really trying to demonstrate to the front guys that this is what the expectation is. And that's what you expect of your captain. So hats off to him. But yeah, it's been a terrible 6 days on what was a fantastic journey. Proud of the team, but at the same time disappointed, that we were on the cusp of something really, really special. And I suppose it shows the level that where Liverpool is at now, that you can win 2 domestic cups and still be disappointed. So proud of the fan base. The fan base played yesterday, I thought was unbelievable. That's the kind of pride that comes out from winning 2 domestic cups. There's some pride out there with teams that win leagues and win Champions Leagues and they don't get praise like that. The fan base is unwavering. We'll be back next season. And I just thought I'd jump on and just do a little reflection here. I had a brilliant evening, a brilliant weekend away with my son, but again, just didn't bring the bacon home, didn't bring the biggest home again for the second time. But the last time we lost again, and we went on to win again, and went on to also win a league 1 year. So the omens are good. And as Jurgen said, he said it's Istanbul next year, and he told the fans to book the flights. So he's going to come out. He's going to be really up for next season. But it remains to be seen what way we're going to move squad around, who leaves his place, who we bring in, does the Salah situation get sorted out. Because to be honest, I have no for another season of him with this contract thing dragging on. Pretend like he's going to resign and all this kind of thing. I say best with the Sadio Mane if he heads off Bayern Munich or wherever he goes. He's given us 6 fabulous years. I think all fans should give him a really good send off. He's treated with some fabulous moments. He scored some fabulous goals. He's really been an integral part of the rise of Liverpool again as a force in football. So I wish him all the best. And that's it. That's all remains to be said. There's nothing else that can be said on it. We were after 4 and we've got 2. I'd just like to thank all you viewers and subscribers to the here, and especially the Shankly sessions, which is where my heart is on the Liverpool supporter. I've been for 42 years. And continue to support us. We will be continuing to drop content throughout the whole summer, and we will be back with you again next season, match after match. Previews, reactions, player ratings, all the good stuff that we do out there. So just continue to support, to share it out there and help us grow. And we will continue to bring in the content. Try not to be too down about the changes that are coming. As my partner on the podcast, Aaron, often says, the only star of Liverpool Football Club apart from the club is Jurgen Klopp, and everything else has been built on the strength of that man, what he has done there. So we should look forward to the summer, see who comes in, and we should look forward to hitting the ground again. It's going to be a tough season next season, especially if some changes come. We know the strength of some of the players coming into the other teams. We know a lot of teams are going to bounce back, and we have to be ready for that challenge. And if they bring us on a season next season that's anything like this season, boy, are we in for a heck of a journey. So, thank you, and we will move on. And until next time, it's been the Shankly Sessions.